Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum students. Welcome to Qaid-e-Azam Ranger School and College Succor offline lectures. I am your teacher Zuha Tibana, and today we are going to study Atlas of Pakistan for grade 7th and 8th. The topic for today is temperature and pressure, and today I will urge you to focus more on the concepts rather than the map, because when you'll have good concepts you will able to understand more. Let's begin with temperature. Temperature is the extent of presence of heat in an object or a body. For example, when you have fever, your body temperature rises and you feel hot. Temperature is measured in degrees Celsius or Fahrenheit. There are different types of temperature. It can be hot, warm, mild, cool, and cold on the basis of the degrees. The temperature in Pakistan can be divided as the dark blue color of very cold temperature, some light blue of cool, then comes the cyan color of mild temperature, then the parrot green color shows the warm temperature, and the yellow color shows the hottest temperature in Pakistan. Pakistan has four temperature zones. The highland zone has cold winters and mild summers. The arid zone have mild winters and very hot summers. Arid zones have extreme temperatures. The lowland zone has relatively very extreme temperatures, and the coastal zones have mild winters and warm summers. Jacobabad has been the hottest region of Pakistan, and the lowest temperature has been recorded in Chitral, which was minus 16 degrees Celsius. Let's talk about pressure now. Pressure is defined as the force exerted by the air of the atmosphere. The amount of humidity in air causes air pressure. It is measured by barometer, and isobar are the lines that are used to locate the pressure areas on the map. Okay, so high temperature causes high pressure. The more the altitude, the more moist is the air. Oceanic and continental effect also impact the air pressure in different regions of Pakistan. In Pakistan, the low pressure areas are usually responsible for the natural hazards like cyclones, tropical cyclones, and multi-latitude cyclones, etc. The air always flows from an area of higher pressure to an area of lower pressure. This is a very important concept. You have to memorize it. When the air pressure is higher, the wind gets lighter and it tends to move upwards. Okay, and the air when the air pressure is lower, the temperature is also lower and the air becomes heavier. Pakistan has four seasons and it lies in temperate zone. The summer season ranges from June to September, and the winter season is from March to May. Different temperature and pressure areas across different cities and areas of Pakistan cause different weather and climatic regions in Pakistan, and that's why the concept of temperature and pressure is very important in determining the zones of Pakistan. Pressure and temperature are very important elements in determining the weather of a country with the other elements like wind, humidity, precipitation, and clouds. Let's talk about our own city, Sakhar. Sakhar is 386 kilometers away from Quetta. The cold winds or hot winds blowing from Quetta cause temperature changes in Sakhar. The wind in Quetta is of higher pressure and it flows towards a region of low pressure air, that is Sakhar. Similarly, an area where there are sea, lands, and mountains, how temperature and pressure influence those areas we will see. The sunlight reaches at the same time on the land and on the sea. The land usually gets hot earlier than the sea. The heating up of land causes the air there to become hot. The hot air becomes light and rises up, making the air pressure very low at that point. Whereas at the sea level, the air doesn't get hot very easily. So an area of cold air, that is a heavy air, and an air of higher pressure is created above the sea level. As we have already discussed that the air moves from an area of higher pressure to an area of lower pressure. So the high pressure air from the sea level moves to fill the vacuum created by the low pressure air of the land that moves upwards. For example, the high pressure air from the sea travels towards Karachi, and that's why the wind blows throughout the year from sea to Karachi and its nearby areas. Now we have conceptualized how temperature and pressure are very important in maintaining climate and weather of a country. In the next lecture, we will discover how rainfall affects the temperature, and then we will discuss the climatography of Pakistan in the coming lectures. Coming to your book, there are different temperature zones on the basis of weather. In January temperature and June temperature, there are two maps that are defining the temperatures of Pakistan in different areas. First of all, we have January temperature zones that are divided into four zones. The very light yellow that is up to 5 degrees Celsius, then comes from 5 to 10 degrees Celsius, a little pale yellow. Then comes a very, very light shade of orange that is temperature between 10 to 15 degrees Celsius. Then a little darker orange with 15 to 18 degrees Celsius temperature, and then 18 degrees Celsius and above the very darker region that becomes the south of Pakistan, including Karachi. According to this, Pakistan has very coldest winters in the western and northern areas and very mild winters in the southern and southeastern areas. Then we have June temperature. The June temperature is also divided into three zones on the basis of temperature: 27 degrees to 32 degrees and up to 35 degrees. This shows that Pakistan has very warm winters actually in all parts except for the northern and western areas where the summers are mild. Then comes the January air pressure map. In that map, it is shown that there are relatively higher pressure areas in the winters that are Karachi, Jacobabad, Multan, Gilgit Baltistan. It means that the northern, eastern, and southern area of Pakistan has higher pressure in winters, whereas the western and northern western areas of Pakistan have relatively low pressure in winters. Then is the July air pressure, which means in the summers the temperatures are higher, and as are the air pressure areas. The purple, dark purple shaded areas have low pressure, and the light purple areas have higher pressure areas. So that's how Pakistan has been divided into different zones on the basis of temperature and pressure. I hope you have understood. Now it's time for homework. You have to draw this map on your copies, but you have to relate this map to the pressure and temperature zones as mentioned in your book. This will be a little tricky, but I'll explain you how. For example, you have to tell which areas have usually higher temperature in winters and summers, and which areas have usually higher or lower air pressure in winters and summers in this map. For example, the highland zone, the northern areas usually have a very low temperatures in winters and summers, and also the air pressure there are very lower. You have to open your books and this map, and then you can easily relate. Still, if you have any types of confusion, you have freedom to ask me anytime. I hope it was a good lecture. Thank you so much for listening. Good luck. Allah Hafiz.